Have you ever looked into the eyes of a child who feels invisible? There's a silence there, a kind of heavy stillness that no laughter can cover up. Children are born craving connection. Their very first instinct, even before walking or speaking, is to reach out for a smile, a touch, a sign that says, "I matter." But what happens when those signals are ignored? When the world they depend on is too busy, too distracted, or too cold to notice? The ignored child begins life like every other, curious, hopeful, reaching out. He points to the picture he drew at school, eager to show his parents. But the response is a quick glance, a distracted nod, eyes still fixed on a glowing phone screen. The child asks a question, but no one really listens. He wants to share a story, but halfway through he realizes no one is paying attention. Slowly the spark in his voice fades. Slowly the joy of sharing disappears. Psychologists call this phenomenon emotional neglect. It doesn't leave bruises. It doesn't scream for attention the way physical harm does. But it leaves a wound just as deep, maybe even deeper, a wound of invisibility. An ignored child grows up learning one dangerous lesson. My feelings don't matter. My voice doesn't matter. Maybe I don't matter. And the brain of a child is fragile. It is still wiring itself, still learning the rules of life. Imagine what happens when the most important rule it learns is that attention and love are scarce. The child starts bending, twisting, reshaping himself just to be noticed. He laughs louder, acts out in class, maybe even misbehaves, because negative attention feels better than no attention at all. Or, on the other end, he withdraws completely, retreating into silence. His heart whispers, "If I don't speak, at least I won't be ignored." This is where the psychology of the ignored child turns into something haunting. In adulthood, these children often carry invisible baggage. They may become people pleasers, constantly scanning others' faces for approval, terrified of rejection, willing to sacrifice their own needs just to keep someone's attention. Or they may grow into adults who struggle to connect at all, afraid to trust, afraid to love, always expecting to be dismissed. And the saddest part? Many of them don't even realize where these patterns come from. They only know that something feels missing inside. They know they crave validation but never feel satisfied. They know they push people away, even when they want closeness. They know they feel small in rooms where they... Now take that survival fuel away. Replace it with silence, with coldness, with indifference. What happens? At first, the child tries harder. He speaks louder, brings home better grades, maybe even cracks jokes. He thinks, if I can just do something special, maybe they'll notice me. But when the silence continues, something inside begins to break. The child learns a twisted truth. No matter what he does, love may never come freely. This is where psychology reveals a painful pattern called intermittent reinforcement. Sometimes the child might get attention. Maybe a parent praises them once in a while, or listens briefly. But because it's unpredictable, the child becomes addicted to chasing it. It's the same principle that keeps gamblers hooked on slot machines. They never know when the reward will come, so they keep pulling the lever. For the ignored child, the lever is attention, and they will keep trying, even if it hurts them, even if it drains them. As they grow, these children develop coping mechanisms. Some become chameleons, adjusting themselves to fit into every room, every crowd. They hide their true feelings, smile when they're sad, agree when they want to disagree. Because in their mind, being authentic feels too risky. What if authenticity leads to rejection? Others swing the opposite way. They build walls so high that no one can climb them. They avoid intimacy, keep relationships shallow, and push people away before they can be ignored again. For them, distance feels safer than the unbearable sting of neglect. And let's talk about self-talk. The inner voice of an ignored child often becomes their harshest critic. Don't bother, no one cares. Stay quiet. You'll only be a burden. You're not worth it. These silent whispers shape their confidence, their choices, their relationships. They walk into adulthood already carrying chains made of doubt. But here's the part that hurts most. Society rarely notices. Because an ignored child doesn't always scream for help. They may look fine on the outside, They may even appear strong, independent, or self-reliant. But deep down, they are starving for connection. Their silence is mistaken for maturity. Their self-reliance is mistaken for resilience. In reality, it's survival. And this survival mode has consequences. In friendships, they might tolerate disrespect just to keep people around. In love, so, is the story of the ignored child only about pain? No, it's about survival, but also about transformation. Because while neglect shapes the child, it does not have to define the adult. Healing is possible. But first, the wound must be acknowledged. The hardest step for someone who grew up ignored is believing that their feelings are valid. For years, they've been conditioned to think otherwise. They may hear an inner voice say, "Stop overreacting. Don't be so needy. No one cares." But in therapy, in safe relationships, or even in quiet moments of self-reflection, a new voice can emerge. I do matter. My feelings are real. I deserve to be seen. Psychologists emphasize the power of reparenting, not in the literal sense, but in learning to give yourself what you never received. An ignored child who grows into adulthood can learn to listen to their own needs, validate their own emotions, and create boundaries that protect their worth. It sounds simple, but it's revolutionary. Because every time they say no to being dismissed, every time they say yes to self-respect, they rewrite the script life once handed them. Healing also comes through connection. Finding people who truly listen, who make eye contact, who value silence as much as words. This can feel foreign at first. The ignored child may not know how to accept it. They may even sabotage it, pushing people away because it feels too good to be true. But slowly, trust can be rebuilt. Slowly, the wound can close. And here's the beautiful paradox. The very sensitivity that comes from being ignored can become a gift. Many who experienced neglect as children develop extraordinary empathy. Because they know what it feels like to be unseen, they often go out of their way to make sure others feel noticed. They become the friend who remembers the small details, the partner who listens without judgment, the parent who bends down to look into a child's eyes and says, "I hear you." Breaking the cycle is not easy. It means confronting years of silence, years of doubt. It means learning that love should not have to be earned by performance. It means forgiving yourself for the times you settled for less than you deserved. But every step toward healing is proof that neglect does not win. So if you were that child, the one waving for attention that never came, know this: you were always worthy, even when the world failed to notice. And if you know a child today who seems quiet, withdrawn, or too eager to please, pause. Look closer.